everybody, to episode 3 in the locker room. I'm your host, as always, Justin Lindler, and today I'm joined alongside two co-hosts.
I'm Eli Brand.
I'm Forrest Tucker.
Today's episode will be fully dedicated to the Champions League. Guys, who do we have left? What's going on?
Well, the two remaining matchups are Liverpool versus Roma and Real Madrid versus Bayern. But I think we should start out with the Liverpool versus Roma matchup and save the best for last.
Definitely.
So what do you say about Liverpool versus Roma?
Liverpool's attack with Roberto Firmino, Mohamed Salah, and Sadio Mane is a Ferrari. There's no debating that. But with their midfield and their defense, they're not as strong as the other teams left in the competition. So in the back, more of a Honda. I've seen in the game versus City, Virgil van Dijk caused City's first goal by making stupid decisions, getting caught up in wanting a foul while he still had the ball in his possession and giving it up to City. And Dejan Lovren has made numerous mistakes across the board, and soccer fans, Liverpool fans alike have battered him for it. So I don't see them competing with Roma, who have had a lot of passion and class from players like Daniele De Rossi, who's their captain, and also Edin Dzeko, who was spearheading the attack going up against Barcelona's center backs like Piqué in the second leg of the semifinal.
Well, I think this will definitely be a close matchup. These are two teams that no one expected to be in the semifinal. So when I see close matchups like this, especially in semifinals of the Champions League, in which anyone can win, I like to break it down into three tiers. Look at the attack, the midfield, and the defense of both of the teams. And when it comes to being up top, easily Liverpool has the better attack, in my opinion. If Salah was still playing for Roma, they would, but they obviously don't have that advantage as they sold him to Liverpool, which I'm sure they're regretting more than ever now. But a thing that they do have up top is Edin Dzeko. He played in the Premier League for a long time, and I think he's going to know how to handle the atmosphere at Anfield, so I think that'll help them up top, keeping the attackers settled. When it comes to the midfield, I think Roma definitely has a better midfield, and the strongest thing with that is the captain. I don't think Jordan Henderson can control a team anywhere the same way that Daniele De Rossi can.
Nor can Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, just to mention another midfield player.
I don't think that Liverpool could have come back and controlled the game against Barcelona like Roma did.
No.
That was absolutely remarkable. Liverpool probably would have had no chance being down 4-1 to a Barcelona team like that.
Yeah.
And especially the way that Roma ended up having more possession than Barcelona in that game, that was absolutely remarkable. But we'll talk a little bit about that later. And when it comes to defense, Liverpool's defense has been abysmal for years.
Yes.
They're still looking for a long-term goalkeeper. They haven't found that since Klopp took over as coach. And when it comes to Roma, they have Brazil's #1 keeper in Alisson, and they have a strong defense anchored by Costas Manolas. So I like Roma to have a good advantage in that game.
And Manolas can score too. He scored against Barcelona.
The game winner.
Speaking of Roma, what was more surprising to you guys, Roma's comeback or the Barcelona's poor performance?
I mean, I didn't expect Barcelona to falter as they did, but this happens a lot in soccer where the big team will be favored, but passion from the underdog. And Roma is a good team. I'm not saying not a good team, but they're the underdog in that game, and Barcelona was lackluster. Lionel Messi had chances to put away free kicks, and he didn't. That's just an example of how I felt Barcelona just were outclassed and outpassioned by Roma.
There are just nights where you go into it and you know something special is going to happen. Right. And that night in Rome was just one of those nights. The way the crowd was acting, the atmosphere, as soon as the Champions League music started playing, you just knew something remarkable was going to happen.
Right.
And that was probably one of, if not the most remarkable comeback in Champions League history. I know last year we had PSG and Barcelona, but it was Barcelona doing the comeback last year. And when Barcelona does something exceptional, that's expected of them.
Right.
Roma to do it to Barcelona was absolutely remarkable. So that's what surprised me the most, was the way that Roma controlled that game and was able to dominate, really, and come back and win it.
Right.
Should we move on to Real Madrid and Bayern Munich?
Yeah, so there was a controversy surrounding that Juventus and Real Madrid game. In stoppage time, there was a controversial penalty call. Now, do you guys believe that was a penalty call, or was Gigi correct when he was saying it was not a penalty?
You can start.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
Well, the first time I saw it, I was definitely angry, because I think when people see Real Madrid get the benefit of the doubt and things, they think about
Bernabeu, at their home stadium.
They think about three things.
Yeah.
First of all, most people wanted Juventus to win that game because everyone was pulling for Buffon to finally win his Champions League.
Right.
And when they see that come back, it's 3-0. It's the 95th minute, which is after the game was supposed to be over, and they get that. People are already get the penalty. People are going to be angry. The second thing is that it's Real Madrid, and they're playing Bayern, who knows a lot about controversy with Real Madrid, because Real scored 2 offside goals last season and ended up winning that tie by 1 goal in last year's semifinals. I think it was quarterfinals. And the third thing was that it was an English referee. English
Yes.
referees are full of controversy whenever they touch anything special. And those were the three things that made it. But after reviewing it a few times, I do think it was a penalty.
Yeah.
I think it was the right decision.
Right.
I don't know if Buffon should have been sent off, but for me, when he put his hands on his back, that wasn't the penalty. When Benatia reached around with his foot and kicked Luis Vasquez in the chest, I think that was what drew the penalty the most. So
Yeah,
I think it was the right decision.
You mentioned how you didn't think that Buffon deserved to be called out or received a red card. That was actually my follow-up question. I'll just go to Forrest now. Did you believe that he deserved to be sent off?
Yeah, I agree with Eli. Definitely a penalty. As a player, if I get touched in the back like that, especially in the 6-yard box, I'm going to go down right away. And Mendy Benatia is just being very stupid. He's a very good center back, but I definitely wouldn't rate him as high as I thought I did after that.
Well, the thing that makes that difficult, too, is the situation. It's 3-3, possibly going to extra time in the quarterfinals of the Champions League between two of the best teams in the history of Europe. You don't want it to be decided by a penalty kick.
No.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that strong. I don't know if it was considered to be a definite penalty because Vasquez was going down.
It wasn't
before.
a very hard challenge.
It wasn't a hard challenge. In that situation, I personally would not have called a penalty, but I understand why he did.
Yeah.
Well, now you giving me all of your input. Who wins? Is it Real Madrid or Bayern?
You want to take that first?
I believe Real Madrid will win it. They're two teams that are phenomenal, but I have a feeling about Real Madrid. Bayern Munich, like Eli mentioned, Philipp Lahm's a mainstay in the defense, and there's a gap there that Real Madrid will definitely exploit.
What about Liverpool and Roma?
This is I mentioned Liverpool's attack being very good, but at the same time, the rest of their team is not. Roma right now have a lot going for them because they've just knocked off Barcelona. They've shown Europe, they've shown the world that they can do. They can do these big things, get these big wins in Europe. And I think that the spirit of their leadership and their talent of the team, because they are a very talented team, regardless of their passion, is amazing. So I think that they'll, with everything we've considered today, Roma will take it and they'll go be in the final.
I like Real Madrid to get past Bayern because of that leadership factor. It'll either be by 1 goal or by away goals.
It will be tight, yes.
I don't think it's going to be a blowout. And when it comes to Roma and Liverpool, I think Roma does go through. I think they reassured me of that by the way that they handled Barcelona's press in the second game, because Liverpool's going to go after them the entire game, as we saw from the City series.
Yes.
And I think Roma proved they can handle that, and I think because of that, they'll be able to get through and play Real Madrid in the final.
All right, well, I have some rapid-fire questions to ask you before we go. I want you to just answer as quickly as possible you can.
Okay.
First question is, plain and simple, who's going to win it all?
Real Madrid.
Real Madrid.
Will Buffon play another season for Juventus?
He could, but he won't.
I think it's time for him to retire. His destiny is not to win the Champions League next year.
I think the nail in the coffin for him was when Italy didn't qualify for the World Cup.
That too,
I think that's
yes.
what he said another year for.
So if Cristiano Ronaldo were to win his 5th title this season, does that cement his legacy greater than Lionel Messi's?
I think it'll make him a greater champion than Messi, but I don't think he'll be a better overall player than Messi.
Lionel Messi's technical ability is very admirable for me as a player. Cristiano Ronaldo's goal scoring is very admirable, but I think I'll agree with what Eli said there. Ronaldo is a great winner. Messi has not been as lucky as Ronaldo to win as much.
Okay. Did Guardiola deserve to be sent off after talking to the refs at halftime?
Well, there was controversy there because Pep Guardiola had called that referee out before that second tie, and this was before UEFA assigned that referee to the game. So UEFA should not have assigned him to that game in the first place. But I don't just like Buffon, we don't know what was said.
Right.
But there was also an awful call disallowing an onside goal before that, or disallowing an offside goal that was onside before that. So I'm a City fan. So obviously, I'm going to say no personally. But so I'm going to try not to answer and be too partial, but I would say no.
I believe a Fox commentator, I believe it was Warren Barton, at the half when they received the development that Guardiola had been sent off for talking to the ref. He exclaimed, he said, well, that's all you have to do to get sent off and go into the stands. Well, I'd agree with Warren Barton. I think Guardiola should be able to stay on the sideline. Again, it's like the Buffon case. You don't know what was said, but it wasn't like he was in his face. I didn't think that Guardiola deserved to be sent to the stands.
And last thing I had to ask, is this Messi's World Cup to win?
I think Argentina is the 5th best team in the World Cup going into it, so I don't think it is, no. I think this is France, Belgium, Germany, or Brazil's World Cup to win.
For you?
Yeah. The German team has amazing depth. The French team has a lot of talent, young talent. And in this age, I think that the focus on Lionel Messi has always been the focus of the Argentina team, maybe outshadowing his fellow teammates on that squad. It's not his. I don't know if he'll ever win a World Cup. There are teams with more talent all around the board than Argentina, that are more flashy, young, and can get the job done. I.e., a Germany who can grind results out and really control the game.
Thank both of you for joining me today. I don't know a lot about soccer, but I feel a little more, gain a little more knowledge after today, so I appreciate you coming on. Thank you all for joining us today on this episode of Locker Room. I'm your host, Justin Lindler.
I'm Eli Brand.
I'm Forrest Tucker.
And we'll see you all next week.